Testing products like this reminds me why I love my job so much. Good afternoon, welcome to Turbo Tortoise Tech. If you're new here, I'm recently the 4-piece variety of Wooks XL, and we have the Catz M.2.X Pro. This is a full 3-in-1 kit that you get the three main components being a full gated H pattern shifter, 6-speed with a downward reverse section over there, a full 3-pedal set with Hall effect sensors, by the way, and then the wheel itself, which is a dual drive system which pulls about 40 watts. This is actually a really impressive bit of kit for the amount of money. There are a couple of things that they really do need to change, and there's a couple of areas here that you might want to pay special attention to, so you kind of get a try before you buy. I mean, that's the whole point of reviews. There's one or two things that they missed out on. This is an incredibly complex piece of kit. You'll see as we go through it with like 22 programmable buttons, support for PS4, Xbox One, Series X and S, and of course PC as well. It's very involved piece of kit. Anywho, let's have a look at what's inside of the box. So you get the three main components as you would expect, but you get a whole bunch of mounting add-ons. You get really nice cabling, including a full braided Type-C cable that is the main connection for the wheel itself, an external power supply as well, because this thing, like I said, the dual drive motors are pulling more than 40 watts worth of power at absolute max. And it's very noticeable because if you leave this on 100% force feedback, it will rip your arms off. Staying with package contents for a second, the mounting stuff, some of it's a touch ambitious. So they give you 2 bolts which connect to the hub and will hold the wheel down on whatever mounting surface you choose to use. I've got an Erosi Velocita setup, so I already have a sim with a TMX Force, which I've used a decent amount to the point that I've kind of ruined the finish on my wheel. But this sucker comes with the ability to have clamps as well, the shifter clamps, and unfortunately there are no mounting holes for the pedal set, which we'll get to when we get to it. But this, I have to say, is probably the most ambitious inclusion of a mounting kit that I've ever seen. They put suction cups for the steering wheel, so you could just suction cup, and you will not be able to use it with force feedback, even at like 30%, because the motors in here are extremely powerful. They actually were kind of mind-blowingly good. It literally, because of the feedback that I got from this, it actually ended up making me a slightly better driver than on my TMX Force. Who could have seen that coming?
What did he say?
But let's start off from the bottom with the 3 main pieces. So you've got a 3-pedal set. There's Hall effect sensors inside of each one of them. You've got obviously a clutch, brake and accelerator depending on your setup. You've also got this little kick plate which can be folded in underneath the system as well, just like that. On your screen you'll have it over there. And then if we look around the bottom, this is where one of the caveats are for this kit. The pedal set is actually really good in general. I did find that the travel on the clutch and the brake to be a little bit lacking, which we'll get into with the usage, but the biggest problem was that there was no bolt areas on the bottom over here for me to attach it to my frame. So even though I have a frame, I just kind of had to rest it on the edge over there at the top, and I didn't want to cable tie it down, but that seems like it's going to be one of your only options, is to actually have cable ties maybe running across the bottom and at the top, and that could then interfere somewhat with your experience, which is a bit of a oof. If you're going to use it just like off the floor, I would definitely have the kick plate out and then just put a brick on either side at the back like that, just to push it out from the floor. You can just wrap those in a towel or a scrap bit of cloth or whatever, just to make sure it doesn't scratch. I gotta say though, this is extremely scratch resistant. You'll see when we get to the usage, I hammered this thing and it just kind of kept up with me. Then we have the H pattern shifter, which has 2 really cool little pieces on it as well. So it's got the normal gated 6-speed over there. Around the bottom, it's also got a full clamp system with a big plastic screw and a nice little adjustable headpiece over there on the end of that, so that it can mold itself depending on the shape of the desk. If it has an angle or something like that, it's really not going to be an issue, which is cool. The cable was a little bit short. I would have preferred to have it channeled all the way around underneath the sim over there, but it just wasn't long enough to do that. So just expect to have it above wherever you are then putting your legs through. But the two nice little things on this is at the top over here, you have two switches, one of them being a low-high for low and high range on your Euro Truck Simulator or a tractor simulator or whatever farming other simulator you would be using this with. You then have a switch right there and then a parking switch right next to that as well. So you'll be able to gauge things like your handbrake without needing to have an add-on handbrake. That's flipping awesome. In general, this thing performed exceptionally well. The throws are super short. There is a little bit of material in there as well to make sure that dust doesn't get into it. This, as an add-on, is like 12 out of 10, I gotta say. This was really, really, really well done. And then, really the centerpiece of this thing, and I cannot stress this enough, was this wheel and the hub. The hub's feedback and feel was so good. I pretty much beat all of my times in the Assetto Corsa with this. I'm not the best driver under the sun by any measure, but I'm not Captain Slow either. And it was flipping amazing. Anyway, let's go through it piece by piece. So on the left hand side, you've got L2 and an LED. Then just next to that, you have a full D-pad over there with a programmable switch over there, L2, L3, and then the home button as you would have for your normal console sort of usage. You've got flappy paddles over here. The flappy paddles out of box felt and sounded really weird, but as I used them, they changed in audio and in feel. So when you get it, if it feels a bit weird, just use it and then they should come right and it should start to feel better the more you use it, is basically the TLDR for that. Then we have on the wheel, another full D-pad over there, L1, L2, then you've got the Mad Catz in the center that is then RGB. You can then change the color and the lights on that to match your setup. Then you've got obviously the full standard D-pad setup with the A, B, X, Y on the right hand side and R2 and R1 over there as well. And then even going further onto that side, you have a share and options button as well as R2 again on the other side with an upload button over there, like a home button. And then just below that, a gamepad input. So you can use this to control multiple gamepads as well. You can plug another gamepad into that so that you've still got your controller like on your console, even though that this is operating through that same port, which is just a really, really nice touch. Then if we look at the front of the device, you can see the kind of shape over there for the dual motors and the relevant connections for your pedals. The Type-C does have a molded input, so you might be limited on replacement cables. Not that I think you'll need one, to be very honest with you. Then you've got the input as well for the H-pattern shifter, and then that 24 volt DC input. It is a very default size, so if you lose it, don't worry. Anything that runs off 24 volts and has at least 2 amps will run this at full power. So that should also be kind of easily replaceable. Then if we have a look at the bottom, you can see it's got rubberizing around the edges like that, really nice to make sure that it sits correctly over there. You've got the inside recesses in the top left and top right of your screen over there for the clamp. That's for the desk clamp mode. And that would really be the limitation, is to use those 2 bolts that you see in the middle or the desk clamp modes. Like I said, the included suction cups, I didn't even bother trying them because this wheel had so much feedback. It was actually kind of mental. It's basically like a G29 wheel from Logitech as far as that goes constructionally, but on feel, it was absolutely incredible. Using this, I was very stunned by how rigid and like good build quality the wheel was. It's 26 centimeter across, so it is a smaller sort of size, but it was exceptional in its feedback. It was so good that, like I said, I managed to actually go a little bit faster than I could with my TMX Force. I've especially driven the Ferrari 599XX Evo a lot because it feels absolutely incredible. It's one of the best handling cars like in the game as far as I'm concerned. Pretty much the most fun. Unfortunately, the content for that got a little bit scrubbed, but I beat my track record, which was like at a 130.5 on the Austrian GP circuit. I managed to get a 129.6, so I went nearly a full second faster with the exact same car, which on the exact same track, which is just like flipping mind-blowing, considering its performance. This thing is really good bang for buck. 5,000 Rand for this. It's kind of astronomically good bang for buck. If you can just get around the limitation of the pedal set, that will you're basically there. The only thing that they really kind of messed up was not having 2 mounting points on this. You could go through the effort of epoxying some bolts on there, but you're going to have to do something to modify to make the pedal set not run away from you, which is what happened when I was using the H pattern shifter. The H pattern shifter was really good. It's got a decent amount of centralizing force. You can't always rely on it, like when you're doing a third, you might bump into the gate over there. So just expect to need to like push it into that area. You can, if once you get used to it, you can do really fast DSG quality shifts with the set, and the wheel, as I said, is just absolutely incredible. The other thing with a pedal set that must be mentioned, you might have noticed while watching over there, is that the actual travel of it is very short compared to its actuation area. It still will actuate like percent by percent, but it's not programmed for like the whole travel area. If you go full flat and you come up like a little bit, it's already at half. So it is a little bit sensitive, and I don't see it being an ultra professional set, but an H pattern set for 5,000 Rand, it definitely slaps. And then with a couple clicks of a button, you've still got your flappy paddle set up over here as well. So you can do sequentials, H pattern, pretty much anything you need to. And something that was really limiting with my old Thrustmaster was I only have a 2-pedal set, so I can't even put a clutch even if I wanted to. So for a 3-pedal set with the H pattern shifter, it's still flipping incredible. I give this set a solid 9 out of 10. Just please give me mounting for this, and just make these a little bit actually less sensitive, just so that I can get a little bit more out of the full travel over there. And this thing's probably one of the best bang for buck sets around. Anywho, that is all I have for you on this Mad Catz MX2 Pro. If you have enjoyed this, please do hit us up with a like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the flip side.